Hey everyone, Pierre here. So if you're watching this video, you have most likely gotten one, if not thousands, of irrelevant cold email in your inbox and you're tired of it. Now, I'm not saying I've got the solution to this, but I do think that the key problem to tackle here is irrelevancy. And so I want to go over a workflow where I try to minimize irrelevancy by identifying a trigger and targeting accordingly. And so, what are triggers? Triggers are examples of changes in companies. For example, if a company just raised funding, if there's a change in team size, if they're hiring a new executive. And so, in this case, a trigger that I particularly like to look at are specific job postings from a company. So, a company hiring for a specific job role. And so, a trigger, as the name implies, is intended to trigger certain automation in this case. And so I want to show you how I've automated not only scraping jobs on LinkedIn, but also how I've managed to parse this data into, in this case, I'm using the posted date to, um, pull data into a list of job roles that have been on LinkedIn for over a month versus ones that are more recent. And I'm doing this via API calls. And so the three softwares I'll be going over quickly here are Airtable, N8N.io, and Clay. And so let's start with, and by the way, I'll be looking to this side because I have my monitor here and I'm trying to do a little split screen action. So hopefully this isn't too hard to see. And so here we have Airtable. And so with Airtable, I am using an extension called Data Fetcher. And so what I am going to do here is I've created a few requests. One of them is finding quantitative analysts in New York. And I also have another table that searches for sales representatives in New York. But in this case, we'll go with our quantitative analyst table. I bought an API on Rapid API, which gives me 500 API calls, I believe. And I'll be looking for quantitative analysts in New York here. And so, I'll just go through the settings real quick to make sure everything's good. And let's say that I want to limit my responses to 10 responses. And so I should be getting 10 rows from this. And so let's run it and see what happens. Now, this table on the left here should be populating with companies that are currently hiring for quantitative analysts in New York. And as we can see, it has done its job and populated. And so let me just close this so we can see the final product. And so we could do, hundreds of API calls here. Although the thing with APIs is, we do have limited amounts of credits. And so we wouldn't want to burn through all of them too quickly. And so here we have the different companies that are hiring for these quantitative analysts. We've got other fields like the company URL, the job location, and the posted date, which is a variable that I will be using to parse my data in this workflow. And then the normalized company name, which is also really nice that they give that. Great. So, this is already an automation of its own. So we are able to, rather than go on LinkedIn and manually scrape data from the job search, we are able to just press a button on Airtable and pull this data and have it, cleanly laid out as a source of truth that we can go back to in the future should we need to do that. And then I am hopping into N8N where I've created an automated workflow. And so what this workflow entails is it's going to, we have nodes here. So nodes are kind of like steps or actions inside of a workflow. And so the first node is going to be a node that is going to read out, if we execute this node, it'll read out the list on Airtable that I just pulled via API. And so we see all the fields that we had before, and we see them getting read here. Then it's going to go into this node, which is going to remove the duplicates of companies. So again, we're using APIs. We have a limited amount of credits and calls. And so we want to make sure to filter our data before doing all these requests. And so I'm deduping by company name. And now I'm using an if statement to look at jobs that have been posted over a month, that have been on LinkedIn for over a month versus ones that have been, that are more recent, that have been around for less than a month. And so here in these HTTP requests, we can see it's a post API that will be posting into Clay. And the reason I am using my monitor here is because I want to give you kind of a live representation of what it would look like when we execute this workflow. So when I click execute here, I should be seeing this table getting filled up via webhooks. And so we've got two tables, one that is companies, quantitative analysts, New York roles that have been around for more than a month, and one for less than a month. And so as you can remember, we have 10 records. And so we won't be seeing 10 records getting filled out in each table. We'll be seeing some records in one, some records in others, depending on the job posting date, which is getting parsed by this if statement. So a lot to unpack here. Hopefully you're still with me. But let's go ahead and execute this workflow. So we should be seeing this table on the right here getting executed. So it's pulled 2 roles so far. Oh, a couple more. Cool. So this is more than a month, job roles that have been around for more than a month. Let's check the date, September 11th. This looks about right. And then let's go to the other table, jobs that have been around for less than a month. Now the date is different, but that's a quick fix. And yep, we can see that these are more recent. So September, and late August. So yeah, just wanted to walk you through this cool automation. Again, what we've done is pulled jobs from LinkedIn for a company hiring for a specific role. We've automated that process and scraping those leads. And then we've executed a workflow to pull these companies into a data enrichment tool like Clay. And from here, what we'll be able to do is find people that are working at these companies. Here, find people, and then we can put their job title, and we can find decision makers or hiring managers in this case, and sell them a solution for the problem that they are currently having. And so we've clearly identified a problem. They've been trying to hire talent for more than a month in some instances or less. And we maybe as a recruiting agency in this case can go ahead and provide them with a talent pool. And so it's really powerful stuff. Just the data enrichment tool, but being able to connect that with Airtable and with a software tool like N8N. And yeah, I think the conclusion here is that automation is getting increasingly powerful. And we're automating what used to be a lot of manual BDR and SDR work. And however, we must always remember that automation actually, as much as I love it, does kill flexibility. And so we want to make sure to automate responsibly with the ability to still change certain variables when needed. And maybe we want to make sure we're manually executing workflows so that we are not constantly just pulling data and burning our API calls and collecting all this potentially irrelevant data. But yeah, so it's exciting stuff, but we still don't want to be automating 500% of our work. But yeah, as someone who isn't, a big fan of administrative work, I'm excited to keep learning about technologies like N8N. I believe it will revolutionize, how we work, allowing us to work and focus on more creative tasks. And if you're someone who could use some help with either cold outbound or automation, feel free to shoot me a message and I'd be happy to see how I can help. And I'll see you on the other side. Thank you.